Sorry, I didn't see you come in, kiddies. You know, I just love urban legends, don't you? There's something so creepy about them. They just get under my skin. I can't help it. You know, the hookman of Lover's Lane, the babysitter, and the man upstairs. There's something very morbid and dark about these. Anyways, better put that aside. Happy Halloween. We've come to the end of our morbid, savage marathon, and I'm gonna give you what you want. Not just sensation, not just shock. I'm gonna give you a slasher movie. Something to round out the holiday season. Let's take a look. After the golden age of Universal monsters, the horror genre kind of got repetitive. I mean, there were still great movies, but for the most part, they couldn't shake the gothic. Horror films were always presented as otherworldly experiences, with events rarely taking place close to home. But slowly, that began to change. Through the late 60s and 70s, monsters gradually got closer and closer to suburbia, and with a little help from Alfred Hitchcock, their weapons became something frighteningly familiar. A new breed of slasher horror took the world by storm, with each new installment seeking to outdo the last. What started out as simple suspense thrillers quickly turned into teen riot body counts with hideous anti-heroes at the center stage. The first of these movies to solidify the formula in the public eye was a little story that took place on the most frightening night of the year, Halloween. Directed by John Carpenter, Halloween tells a simple story about a boy named Michael Myers who is locked in an asylum after he murders his sister on Halloween night. 15 years later, on the night of October 30th, he escapes the mental institution and returns to his hometown of Haddonfield, Illinois, just in time to partake in some late-night trick-or-treating. As he transforms into little more than a faceless shape, he stalks a trio of teenage girls, Lori, Annie, and Linda, who are spending their holiday babysitting, and, well, you can imagine what else. Ultimately, it falls to Michael's psychiatrist, Dr. Sam Loomis, hot on the trail since his escape, to take the maniac down. I really love this movie. And if you're only familiar with the story because of the Rob Zombie remake, I just want to say, stop this review right now and go check out the original. I'm actually a fan of Zombie's version, but at the end of the day, it really does overcomplicate a very simple myth. And that's the whole point of this. While it is important to the history of the genre, there is also a reason why this movie earns the right to bear the name Halloween. Although there have been numerous films in the years following its release that have better exemplified the atmosphere and traditions of the season, Halloween remains a stalwart cautionary tale, laced with all the window dressing we've come to love about our favorite holiday. Jack-o'-lanterns, costumes, late-night horror marathons, it's all there. And just listen to how the movie starts.
You may think they scare me, you're probably right. Black cats and goblins on Halloween night. Trick-or-treat!
Probably not what you'd expect from a movie where the poster is an evil-looking pumpkin and a fist gripping a knife.
Excuse me,
Oh,
Laurie.
Mr. Brackett, I'm sorry, Mr. Brackett.
Oh, I didn't mean to startle you.
That's all right.
You know, it's Halloween. I guess everyone's entitled to one good scare, huh?
Yes, sir.
It's the simple things that scare us, and John Carpenter knew that. Michael Myers, the prototypical serial killer turned boogeyman, is literally just a mask. Unlike later entries in the franchise, which would try to humanize or explain away the evil, John Carpenter's Halloween merely lays the evidence on the table for us to make up our own minds, and the results are uniquely chilling.
I met this 6-year-old child with this blank, pale, emotionless face and the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes.
That's Donald Pleasance, by the way. Best remembered outside of this as James Bond's arch nemesis, Blofeld. He lends a great deal of credibility to the events that unfold in this film.
Death has come to your little town, Sheriff. You can either ignore it or you can help me to stop it.
On the subject of casting, I gotta say something about the teenage girls. Of course, Jamie Lee Curtis does a good job in her first leading role, but I've always loved PJ Soles and especially Nancy Loomis as her promiscuous friends. They bring so much more to the movie than a lot of people give them credit for.
Totally.
The funny thing is, for a movie that's often credited as being the first true American slasher, Halloween doesn't really feel like a slasher movie at all. The tropes are obviously there, but it feels less like a traditional horror tale and more like a campfire ghost story. Think about the film's logline for a moment. An escaped lunatic from a mental hospital is stalking teenage girls who are babysitting on Halloween night. It's so simple. It weeds its way into our psyche. Michael Myers is not Jason Voorhees or Freddy Krueger. He isn't even really a slasher villain. He's an urban legend, like the hookman of Lover's Lane or the babysitter in The Man Upstairs. And like the best of urban legends, he always feels like he's just beyond the light's reach, waiting for us in the shadows. Not too bad for a guy in a spray-painted Captain Kirk mask, huh? Well, as you can imagine at this point, kiddies, John Carpenter's Halloween ends on something of a cliffhanger. After shooting Michael Myers off the edge of a balcony, Dr. Loomis looks over the edge and discovers that the masked maniac is gone. Today, we're pretty cynical, and we would probably view this as the filmmaker's way of setting up for a sequel. But back in 1978, it was something far more frightening. To paraphrase one Orson Welles, it was their way of dressing up in a white sheet and saying boo. The calls are coming from upstairs. There was a bloody hook on the handle. I hope you've enjoyed our marathon, kiddies. It's been a lot of fun. Of ghosts, ghouls, goblins, mayhem, and murder, if you only take one thing away, let it be this. Monsters never really die. Happy Halloween.
You know, it's Halloween. I guess everyone's entitled to one good scare, huh?